Now we're going to go through assembling one of the Veggie-Pod covers. It comes in one of these boxes. And this is the reason why I say when cutting, don't cut with your blade facing down, cut with your blade facing up. Because we have cuttable material on the inside. We don't want to start slicing through. So that's our actual cover. Our instructions. Our waterline. Our bag of assorted bits, cable ties and clamps, hose clamps. And then all of our assembly parts. You'll notice the curvature on these aren't the same if you turn them up the other way. So they go the tight curve end to the top. Use a T. Depending on how physically adept you are, you might want to use a mallet or something to whack them all together. So I'm just going to build my ends and my middle pieces, then assemble them together. And I'd suggest if you look at all your end pieces, these are I think 1s and 3s. Your 1s are the two shorter pieces. So if you just stand them all up, makes it easy to identify if the stickers have fallen off, which can happen with stickers. So the two shorter pieces, the first pieces we'll need. We'll put one of those sort of ends on. And then align it so that basically our pieces are all sticking out in the same direction. So we end up with a shape like that. And all of these want to be sticking out the same direction. So we've got one end constructed. We'll do the other end as well. Again, we want a T-joiner. Into those. Then we grab our other one, which is the shorter. And put those on the end. Exactly the same as the other end. We have two ends made. And then it's the middle piece. You'll notice we've got 3 left. Your middle piece is across for your top one. Again, it's exactly the same operation. I don't think the orientation of the cross really matters because it's going to be sticking out the same way anyway. Again, our T's onto the bottom edge. And now we've assembled all our individual pieces for our frame, we can start assembling them all together. If we take our first piece, put that on the ground, and grab 3 of our long rails. Again, just applying pressure to make sure that they go all the way home. But if we take our middle piece, which is easy to identify because we have no bottom rail, that just sits over the top. And add another set of rails.
What is somebody vertically challenged?
And then, I mean, you could lay this down if you're not tall enough and put it on that way, but because I am tall enough, and that is the outside layer of the frame of our veggie pod. Now, in the instruction manual, it's going to tell you to join these two pieces together like so before you put it in. I found that actually sort of makes it a little bit harder trying to get it to go through our cover. So we're going to leave this bit off to last, and I'll explain why when we get to it, that this seems to be a better solution. Now, when putting this together, you want to sort of work out, it doesn't really matter because you can turn this around, but you want to sort of work out which way your hose line is going out on your bed, but you can, obviously it doesn't really make too much of a difference, but just knowing where you want to go, and we just zip tie these in place. We want to make sure that our hose jets are facing downwards so that they spray. And in our bag we have a whole bunch of zip ties. And to start off with, I'm not going to do the zip tie up that tight because I just want to sort of hold it in place before I get it all tightened and lined up. We want to keep our hose inside our frame so it's not sticking out. Now I can start putting more zip ties on around where my hose jets are so that I can tighten these ones up. And have my jets facing in the right direction. And the manual, it does tell you that you can crimp these a little bit just so that it sits flatter, makes it easier to zip tie. My concern with that is that you crimp it, you bust the powder coating. Since these are going to be outside, we don't want to damage the external layer at all, so I wouldn't crimp them. I'd just spend a little bit more time just trying to get your zip ties on and get your jets lined up rather than trying to squash a part of it flatter so that it sits. and just use up the rest of your zip ties, because when water pressure comes on, it's going to want to sort of move the pipe a little bit. And there all our nozzles are facing in reasonably straight downwards direction. No. Come on, out the way you came in. Sorry, I have a retarded dog. Alright, you'll see on the cover you have an end that your hose can go through. You want to locate that end to the end that your water spout's coming out. So that means that this is going to go around this way. These are reasonably tight fitting, but I suppose that's what you want in a cover. Stand this back up. I've got to pull this over the edge. This is where it gets a little tricky. And undo the Velcro. And you wrap it around and then basically just join your Velcro back up. Try and get it sort of as straight and uncrinkled as you can. It's a little bit fiddly, but unless you want to go along with a sewing machine and stitch them all by hand or something, this is probably a good option. Got that end up. Turn this up the other way. Do our other end. Just gently pulling the Velcro around. That's just our last side. And that's our cover stretched over. Now, if I bend this round, you'll see the reason why I said to leave this off is because if we're trying to feed this end through with our hose clamp and everything on, it's actually slightly bigger and makes it quite hard to get through this hole here. Whereas if we slide, because we'd have to be coming out this way if we've already connected our hose first. But if we connect our hose last, it's just as simple as pushing that through and then coming around onto the inside and putting our end on. And remember, always put your hose clamp on the hose that you're connecting before putting it on, because once you've got it on, you're not getting your hose clamp on. So your hose clamp can just go, I'll unwind it a bit. We've got plenty of room because we've got to go over a barbed fitting. That can just sit up there out of the way. And depending on how physically adept you are, you might just be able to push this end straight on. But if you get a cup of hot water and just heat the end of the pipe, it'll go on much smoother, and then as it cools it's going to contract and also create a better seal. So I'd recommend using just a cup of hot water, which I'm going to go boil the kettle now and get a cup of hot water. Well, I got my cup of hot water. It's really quite hot because I just spilt it on myself. So we just heat up the end so it's malleable. You can see that there is quite soft now. But you don't want to put the hose too far in the water, because as you're trying to push it on, you've got it soft all the way back to here. It's going to get flimsy and make it hard to push on. So you only want to sweat enough for the area that it's going to go over that section. And the time it's toking, it cools down, so you want to be reasonably quick. I only got about an inch water in my cup. And that just pushes on, goes home, and we slide our hose clamp up. And then tighten the sucker off. And that there is our veggie pod cover assembled. And all we have left is our clamps that go onto the actual beds itself, and our string to stop it from opening too far. So I'll go down and get this connected to the bed now. That's assembling a cover. Alright, now we're going to go through putting the actual cover onto the actual beds. There's these little clips, pull out. In the cover boxes, you get these. Slide them on. And I'll put 4 along the back edge and 4 along the front edge. Might just want to give them a little tut in. Some of them clip in easier than others. Put 4 along the front edge. If I grab my cover, my hose inlet goes to the far end. I basically just sort of sit this on top and work out roughly where it's going. So I've got good alignment. It basically, you just push it down. Push it down, push it down, push it down. Same along the front edge. And push that down. Be back in a sec. I just left my string behind to set up our just tie my string off. I haven't actually done any of these yet. I was contemplating using like a bonnet strut sort of thing, just to make it easier. And just tie this other end off. Around here, which might be a good idea actually, put your string on before putting your Velcro on. Then there, and that way then that's nice and restrained. You can just close it. Clip it down. And our Vegepod is now safe from all bugs and everything else. And that is the construction of how to build your frames, Vegepod and cover.